These 10 cryptos are setting up for a massive breakout, and I actually have a bonus crypto. If you've been on my channel, you probably know what it is, but I will bring that one up as well. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. Bitcoin had its push up with whatever news came out. We can find that here on TradingView. But I believe it was Kazakhstan is adding Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency reserve and some other stuff. But mainly we held that support at 108. And if we can close like we did and hold this, this is going to most likely be the continuation for what we see to come. Moving right into the 10 cryptos, Compound. As always, been talking about this one since we did our first scalp trade back here at $46, selling out around $59. A bunch of retracements within there, consolidation, and we have weakened out this 200 EMA quite a bit. Tested the absolute low that we are expecting with this upward trend line. RSI is looking healthy. We'll most likely see a little bit more consolidation and creep up over the 200 EMA. The next resistance is this downward trend line. And when that gets touched, maybe a little bit of consolidation, or we'll see that break up to $62 again. And Compound is actually, let me zoom out. Compound is having an all-time high of around $923, currently at 43. It does move very quick, as we have seen in the past, and it is definitely a good bet. If you do not have this in your bag, you are getting the opportunity to buy around $43 before this starts taking off to around 125 very quickly. You most likely will not be entering in at 125 because you missed your 3x chance, but it's got a long way to go. So entering in at the bottom gives you a lot more confidence, less likelihood to be sweating it when it starts doing its pullbacks, and you can just kind of ride the waves and gain the profit. Not financial advice in any way, just my opinion. QNT. There you go, dude. QNT is looking healthier. So as we were not sweating when it had that pullback, and it was just testing this for liquidity sweep and this previous point, like I talked about in the previous video, and immediate pullback up. As we saw previously, once it hit that low point underneath the 200 EMA, it immediately retraced back to a new high. We hit below the 200 EMA and got an immediate pullback up. And as I talked about in the previous video, we need to break this downward trend line. This will most likely test this, get a little bit of consolidation. I could be incorrect. We could be pushing back through this towards this yellow trend line, but I don't think that's going to be all in one day. We are a little bit overbought. We need to be a little bit consolidating, getting this to RSI a little bit more healthy before the next push through this downward trend line. Also keeping in mind, we want to keep that 200 EMA nice and close, because when we have those major push-ups, they usually have major pullbacks as well. As we saw back here on July 21st, we had that push up to a new high, major pullback, push up real quick, and double the pullback back down. So we want to keep this 200 EMA nice and close, as it was pretty far away right here when we were pushing away from it, not giving it enough time to build up the pressure, but also the volume is picking up. And like I talked about in the previous video, we could expect breaking over this previous high. We could see push out of 150 to around 161. The real rejection is around 172. And then we may have some consolidation in this area before a further push up. I could be incorrect, but we just need to break this downward trend line, and QNT has a lot more potential to start pushing up towards this previous high around 136. So good thing you're holding out. If you guys have been holding along this play, we've been having our entries down here around $78 to $100. So nothing is really sweating within this moment. And the reason this is the entry and down here actually is because we are breaking this point above this previous high, and we close, and so we also crossed over that 200 EMA. That is a great entry, and then the downward trend line, consolidation, entered there, and then that push up out. Even though we had the retracement, we are still at the same level. The next push up, retracement, still at the same level because we broke that downward trend line. Now we are trying to break a new downward trend line and start the momentum upwards, as this has the potential to hit 1,000 to 1,500. BNT, a lot of you are not in on BNT, and I know that, but it has an all-time high of $20, 0.698 cents at the moment. So if you got almost 70 cents and you want to see it turn into $20, check it out. Maybe throw $1 at it. Put $100 at BNT. It's working within this downward wedge, and typically when we see these wedges along with Bitcoin pushing up, we can expect this downward trend line to eventually be broken, if not within this touch, and a little bit of consolidation because we want to keep the 200 EMA close. Then once it's broken, we have the upward momentum closing above this 85 cents. The next stop is 94, but not a whole bunch of resistance until you start getting to around like 150. We saw that it had a major push back in the day with a nice W pattern down here, holding over a 200 EMA. A little bit of volume pushed this thing from 55 cents all the way up to $1.86. But keep in mind, we have a lot more information from previous days where when we get over that 200 EMA, it did come back down, but when it closed again, first off, I mean, look at that. Look at that pump. That's 261, most likely within a week, and then a pullback, major pullback. And then afterwards, 500 to, what is that? 1,000%. And we still have more information that we can work with from previous history, seeing that the all-time high is actually way up here at $20 where it started. The next real resistant, $10, and then down here around 4 or 5. But currently 69 cents. And when this thing starts to push up, it's going to be very, very aggressive, as we have seen back here around March. It had a major push up, and that increase in profit, once it was holding above that 200 EMA, 617%, which is at least the minimum where we are looking to go before we get a little bit more resistance in BNT. Moving on, DNT. Consolidation may not look the best, but it's been built up. It broke downward trend lines, and it's weakening out this 200 EMA with all this touch to the 200 EMA. It is getting the CM guppy pushing it down, but when we get over this downward trend line, then it's got a little less resistance. And once we get over that 200 EMA, we can start to see it building like we've seen with some other cryptocurrencies. Not a whole bunch to talk about with this one right now, but last time it held over the 200 EMA roughly here. Is about a 600% increase. 2 cents, throw a buck at it, see what happens. None of this is financial advice, but XYO is a little bit more important, as we do have some more information on this one, and it does move very quickly as well. In the double zero digit mark. Last time we were in this area, we had about a 400% increase within a few days. And this is now breaking a downward trend line and also forming a cup and handle. Ignore all this. This was a lot of scalp trading in between. And the previous high was up here at 8 cents. But once it gets beyond that 8 cents, you are really going to wish you got in at less than a penny, because now it is about as cheap as it's going to get. And as talked about in the previous video, we most likely just had a liquidity sweep underneath this upward trend line. So that's why we were not selling within that area if you had bought in previously. But the 200 EMA is weakening out, getting in line with this 0.01 that we have been talking about for our resistance. And it is going to tap this downward trend line yet again. That is very weak. And once that's broken and the 200 EMA is crossed, we'd expect a push to at least here around 0.012. Beyond that, up here to 0.02 or 0.025. A long way to go for XYO if you have not entered. This is pretty low for cryptocurrency. It's definitely undervalued. So stack your bags for that. Oof, this is a lot longer than I thought. 200 EMA, flirting with the 200 EMA on LCX. I've been talking about around the 15-cent mark is where you'd want to have your entry. Once it holds above that 200 EMA and breaks this downward trend line, then it has the upward potential. If you haven't entered into LCX, it's actually looking pretty nice once we get above that 200 EMA. Ideally, again, the downward trend line would be your ideal entry if you are watching the markets for the entry on LCX. I'm going to start busting through these because I'm speaking too much. $2.98 on XRP. If you have not entered XRP, highly recommended. Definitely one of the bigger bags that you should be stacking, as $2.98 is highly undervalued. We are holding above the 200 EMA, keeping it close, about to break a downward trend line. I know this pushed 57% up. Doesn't seem like much. We may have a little retracement from there, but beyond that, XRP is in the top 3 for cryptocurrencies for domination. The entire world's using it. You can stake it in the future to make your money just earn passive income for you, which is the absolute ideal way to make money. XRP is one of the best dollar cost averaging coins that you can be buying. Not a whole bunch to speak about it, besides the fact that it's been suppressed for years. And if you did not have the opportunity to enter around 50 cents, it's still one of the better bets. It's going to continue to go up from this point. Will we see $3 again? Maybe for a retest, but beyond that, there's no chance you're going to be able to get in on XRP at $3 in the future, as it has started just like we've seen in Bitcoin at almost nothing. Major push up to 40 cents, consolidation, and then a $3.32 within a few years after that before government suppression. As I talked about in the previous video, XRP is definitely one of the go-tos. If you're stacking XCN or any of the other cryptocurrencies, you should know to be holding some XRP, even just to stake it. And with XRP, HBAR, XLM follow suit. Pushed out of the wedge, came back in, pushed back out. This thing is holding support. It is about to take off along with XRP and the rest of the market as Bitcoin is pushing up. Less HBAR than XRP, but HBAR does have potential to push up very nicely. Same with XLM, and they are cheaper, so you do get more for your money buying at these lower prices, and they could have a potential or bigger ROI than XRP, but XRP in the long run is going to win if you are holding it for long term, not even touching it, just dollar cost averaging. XLM pushed out of that wedge, is trying to close above the previous high, and with that close we can see the next resistance being here around 0.468 and testing these previous highs up here around 50 cents. So if you're stacking XRP, again, XLM and HBAR are good bets. And then the last of the 10, before I give you the bonus, CTSI. I know Mick Law has entered into this. Even with that pullback, it is very healthy. And we just need to get over that 200 EMA. The all-time high is way up here at $1.79, I believe. And at 7 cents, that is a pretty good probability and risk to reward ratio, as we are lower than this previous bottoming out, but we are getting over that 200 EMA. Previous time we did that, we saw a major push up to around 44 cents. A 7-cent investment turning into nearly 50 very quickly is not bad, and the volume is astronomical. We are bottoming out for CTSI, so if you have not entered, now is a good bet, or if you're dollar cost averaging, also now is a good bet. I'm buzzing because I'm losing oxygen trying to explain all these, God. But the bonus one, as always, Tornado Cash. You can trade it on MEXC. Reference link in the description below. You get 10 USDT free using that reference link. We have our entry at 750, 11, and 13. All are in profit. Even with the pullback, we are still in profit, keeping that 200 EMA close. Testing this 618 on the Fibonacci. So could we expect a pullback from this area? Yes, back down to around 1286. But if not, breaking this $15, the next step is $22 to $27 and beyond. Keeping in mind the all-time high is $459. So if you got 20 bucks, see if you can turn it into half a grand. And that's all I got to say. Good luck. Have fun with it. Like and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one.